Companies innovate to increase their competitiveness. And this typically means that a company develops a product or a service or a better process to better meet a market need. Now, if you innovate sustainably, you obviously do so without harming the environment or the communities or the long-term stability of your company. Now, we also know that this isn't a one-time effort. Competitive advantage needs to be sustained, so we need to continuously innovate on and on and on. And that's where our particular lens on the topic comes in. You cannot innovate if you don't have the people to do it, your expert employees. To me, that's your most precious resource. Without those experts, there is no innovation. So for all sustainability targets, whether they're serious or lofty, there is no way around sustainably managing that precious resource, your expert workforce. Let me quote from a recent book by BCG's Arindam Bhattacharya. There's 2 points he's making, among others. Great is not longer good enough, and 2, transformation is always on. So it is obvious sustaining competitive advantage is harder than ever, and hence you need to continuously innovate, right? But the good news is companies have always been great at sustainable practices when it was in their economic favor. So I think companies generally have sustainable innovation in them, and I think now is a good time to fully embrace it. Organizations execute their strategy. They do. But I think companies need to better train their strategy execution capabilities, that strategy execution muscle. And in that sense, I'm not talking about better project management. I am talking about better management. If there is one essential job that I see in management, it is assigning a company's resources to the opportunities for most significant results. And for innovation, that is your knowledge workers, your expert resources. And I'm not making this up. This is 1963, Harvard Business Review, Peter Drucker. And at the time, he also wrote that companies are lacking a methodology, an approach to make those decisions around prioritization and resource allocation. And he also writes that organizations are social systems, so there are many different actors that need to get their act together to make those decisions. So in a nutshell, it is in organizations already. It isn't buried in there, as you were asking. We have it in there. We need to surface it. We need to make it explicit. And the most explicit question that you can just ask is, which projects do we do when, and do we have the people to do it? Very simple. And in a way, organizations do that today already. But how do we surface that? How do we make that more explicit? I think that's the key. Yeah, I think so. Any organization that does anything for a living that is successful beyond just running a business, of course, they have people who have specific expertise that work together with others who have specific expertise. They collaborate on creating innovation. I think that's also knowledge worker ground rule that Peter Drucker in the T model, I think, pulled up 50, 60 years ago. But yes, there's no way around it. So giving you another example here, as you were asking, in pharmaceuticals, often, of course, these large drug development projects are outsourced. Yes, but of course, who is coordinating these studies? Who is making sense of the clinical data? There is no way that you can innovate without having those experts in your organization. Let's put it this way. Organizations make decisions de facto on where to put their precious resources. That means which projects to prioritize and where people should be going at what point in time. They do that today. I think there's a difficulty in handling all that complexity. So let's take a simple approach. If you wanted to innovate sustainably, drive great innovation by telling, okay, which projects are we doing at what point in time, you could go a simple route. You could say, here's a strategy, and then we develop initiatives, and then we create a portfolio and decide that, and then we go execute. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. All of these things happen at the same time. There's new things pushing into the portfolio, and there's things that are already underway that take more resources, of course, and then strategy changes. And so there's constant need for decision making. And as this happens all the time, consistently, that makes it feel so complex. And then, of course, there's so many moving parts. And then the organization itself is a complex social system with many actors. And here's the key. That exists already, and it has worked for 1,000 years. So while others see this as an unsolvable challenge, or throw technology at it and force people into working differently, I think this is actually an opportunity. Why don't we accept that this is how the world works? And people are willing to do a great job, and they're willing to adapt the plan, but they cannot solve it alone. They need to collaborate. And I feel that there is an understanding of people collaborating. It's just you have to make that system explicit and not try to impose a different system that then wouldn't work. The question that we have, though, is what is the best way to handle this reality? So to me, there is no obstacle for an organization to do that. It is just how do we make this system transparent so we can better handle the reality that we have in organizations. And there's 3 rules that we suggest in the article of designing that collaborative process. And I think if you embrace that, much of the pain disappears and you might make reasonable decisions, not perfect ones, but better to do an average thing if everyone else around you is losing his mind, I think, as Napoleon said. Organizations that have been innovating for a long time have these processes in place because they're managed well. This is not about product management or different types of project skills. It is good, decent management. It is about identifying together what it is that we should be working on, and then who do we allocate? And organizations that have a DNA of being reliable towards customers, being reliable towards employees, being reliable to society. That's ingrained. And all those actors, they need to work together, right? Collaborate. And everyone needs something from the system. They need reliable information from that system. And that's where they reliably give into that system so the decision-making process works. I know that's a bit of an abstract thought, but I think if reliability towards customers, towards colleagues is something that is in your DNA, I think you're already on a very good path. Yes, I very much am. It is clear that organizations are made up of people. And if you want people to be bought into what it is that you do, yes, there's purpose and there's goals that you are setting. But if people feel they have a place in this, if they have their own benefits, so let's look at an engineer in that sense. If the engineer has a chance to actually commit focus time to doing his job right, how great is that? And what is that result going to be like? It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be better than what the competition can do. Perhaps if you read the book chapter, we start off with a small case study where it is totally clear to the CEO of a tech company that he can't pull anything off without having people available that are committed to the cause, but he knows that he needs a lot of people with very high expertise. And as we go towards middle management, that thought is lost. People are overburdened, it's uncoordinated, and the whole thing falls to pieces. And that's billions of dollars lost. So I don't think that many organizations will be able to go down that path. So I am certain that for that piece, we are absolutely on our way. And with regards to sustainable innovation on a more broad level, I'm 100% convinced that we're going this way, just as we see real deals coming through, real productive deals where people are making money for their companies through protecting the environment in that sense. And that's the better reason than having politics in general, do deals that just cost money and nobody knows what that would be good for.